Prague, a city slowly turning into an open-air museum. It is a city where many obstacles prevent the construction of skyscrapers. Across Europe, skyscrapers and new modern centers are slowly appearing. In Prague, however, construction stopped in places that once seemed promising. Still, there's an area that could soon become Prague's own Manhattan. Why doesn't Prague build skyscrapers, and does it actually need them? Compared to America and Asia, Europe has only few cities with many skyscrapers, but their number is increasing. After World War II, the United States started to build tall buildings. In Western Europe, this was not the case because cities did not need to grow in height due to lower population and instead focused on repairing monuments or rebuilding damaged blocks. In Eastern Europe, including Prague, which after the war was under Soviet influence, cities were built more in width than in height. The historic centers were not developed and the communists created their own idea of housing and city life, forgetting the basic needs of people. Large housing estates were built, places where people only lived and slept. The idea of 10-minute city, which we try to build today, was completely ignored. At that time, Prague experienced not only a big increase in population, but also in size. The city grew further around the estates and Prague ended up larger than Barcelona or even Hong Kong. Since then, many decades have passed and step by step also European cities started to build skyscrapers. The most active were cities almost completely destroyed in the war, such as Frankfurt or Rotterdam. But not only destroyed cities built skyscrapers. In Paris and London, new districts appeared outside the historical centers, creating modern areas full of life. These new centers are not only for tourists but also for local people who can go there for culture, nightlife or just to relax. Hopefully something similar will happen in Prague, in the new planned district Bubny Zátory, even without skyscrapers. Let's get back to skyscrapers. Neighboring cities also saw strong growth in skyscrapers, for example Warsaw or Bratislava. Warsaw is slowly becoming a small European New York with a skyline that keeps growing. Bratislava officially has only one skyscraper so far, but at least 2 more are planned. There are also many other high-rise buildings such as 4 towers by Zaha Hadid in the Sky Park project. Step by step, the new center of Bratislava is getting denser and looks better and better. Prague, unlike Bratislava, is a much bigger city with far more historical monuments, which makes it more difficult to start building skyscrapers. In Prague, something similar was tried in Pankrád, where 4 high-rise buildings were built, 2 of them taller than 100 meters. Another 4 were planned, but their height was reduced over and over, and now it seems they might not be built at all. And the Pankrád area will not expand further. Why is it so hard to build skyscrapers in Prague? Prague will need to build upwards sooner or later, because it is already a very large city and from some suburbs it takes more than a half an hour to reach the center. But 2 problems must be solved first. The first problem is UNESCO. Prague has the largest protected heritage zone in the world, and the city panorama is part of this protection. UNESCO has already threatened several times to remove Prague from its list because of the construction. This happened, for example, during the building of the W Tower, but in the end, it was not removed. UNESCO wants new tall buildings not to damage the panorama of Prague, but it has set not exact limits. The city must consult UNESCO before each project. Because of this, the 3 planned high-rise buildings in Žižkov will probably not be built. Instead, only 1 building of 80 meters will be allowed. A similar reduction happened in Pankrád, where the Kavčí hory resident towers will now be 68 meters. Personally, I think it is a pity that the Pankrád area will not be denser, because from distance, the 2 existing towers look like they stick out of the panorama of Prague. A denser skyline would actually look better. There is even plan by Marek Kabela from the CTU proposing 4 more skyscrapers near the W Tower to complete the high-rise panorama. The second problem is the metropolitan plan, which defines how tall and what kind of buildings can be built in each place.
In most areas of Prague, the plan does not allow buildings higher than 12 floors. However, there are some locations further from the center where higher construction could be possible. For example, Opatov or Vysočany.
There, the tallest proposed buildings are about 21 floors or 100 meters. The metropolitan plan can be changed, and many changes were already made last year. For example, in the last month, there was a new change for the first Prague skyscraper. This building is planned for Nové Butovice, where 2 more tall buildings are also proposed. Why Butovice? Nové Butovice is on the southwest edge of the city. Today, it still looks spacious, but in the near future, a new road, the Radlická Radiál, will be built nearby, together with more housing.
Butovice will then face problems with space, and the only solution will be to build upwards. The ground there is suitable for tall buildings, as shown already by the 70-meter center building. Butovice is far enough from the center, so tall buildings there would not damage the Prague panorama, like the one on Pankrácz do. The skyscrapers should be located directly by the metro station. The first should be built above the bus terminal with the height of about 80 to 90 meters. Another tower, ASTRAL Tower, should reach 116 meters with 27 floors and a glass facade. Its advantage is that the tower will stand on a place where in the past were already plans for high-rise buildings. The studio which designed the tower is Studio 8 and the investor is Flashscore. Now let's move to the future skyscraper of Czech Republic, the top tower. It is the tallest planned tower in Czech Republic and it's designed by Trigema. The tower itself should be 111 meters, but the shipwreck sculpture attached to it makes the total height of 135 meters. The shipwreck is designed by the artist Dan Cherny, who for example added the babies to the Žižkov Tower. The wreck is also supposed to remind people of the climate change. Unfortunately, the project has been delayed several times. Originally, it was expected to be built in 2021, but it is still only in preparation. The city government is still not fully satisfied and wants an urban study and a new competition for the whole location. Unfortunately, no detailed results are available yet. So, will Prague ever get its first real skyscraper? The plans exist, but if they will ever be built is probably a matter of decades, not the near future. Prague is a beautiful city as it is, but if it does not want to become only a museum for tourists, it will need to make big changes. If you enjoyed the video and want to learn more about Prague and Czech Republic, don't forget to subscribe and give it a like. Thank you for watching and see you next time.